Good morning, students. Happy to meet you once more. I hope you are doing your assignments well. Today, we will continue with plane figures. And the lesson today will be on quadrilaterals. So what are... We first look at our plan of action for today. So look at the meaning of quadrilaterals. We examine some of them to know parallelograms, rhombus, trapezium, rectangle, a square, then a kite. At the end, we look at the sum of the interior angles of a quadrilateral, and then you take home some assignment to consolidate the knowledge that you have gained today. So we move to the meaning of quadrilaterals. What are quadrilaterals? A quadrilateral is simply a plane figure with 4 straight sides. So the word quadrilateral is made up of 2 words. Quad means 4 and lateral means side. So a quadrilateral, as I've said, is a plane figure with 4 straight sides. So having said this, we go to examine some types of quadrilaterals. So the first type is what is called a parallelogram. And a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with opposite sides equal. These are opposite sides of a quadrilateral. These are the opposite sides. So if these opposite sides are equal, then that quadrilateral is called a parallelogram. So when sides are parallel, you indicate them with arrows of the same type, like this. This means this one is parallel to this. And these ones are equal. Then this is another set or pair of parallel lines, and they are equally equal. So a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with opposite sides parallel. Move to the next. And the next kind of quadrilateral is what is called a rhombus. A rhombus. And what is a rhombus? A rhombus is a parallelogram whose sides are all equal. So you have a parallelogram with all the sides equal, you will call it a rhombus. And because it is a parallelogram, the opposite sides will be parallel and equal. So we have indicated that with this. This indicates that the sides are all equal. And if it's a parallelogram, it means the opposite sides are parallel. They are parallel and they are equal. And because it's a rhombus, all the sides are equal. They're the same. And like I said, if all the sides are the same, you indicate them with these signs here. We move to the next. And the next is what is called a trapezium. And what is a trapezium? A trapezium is a quadrilateral with one pair of parallel sides. So these are parallel sides. These other ones are not parallel. So when you have a quadrilateral with only one pair of sides parallel, the quadrilateral is called a trapezium. A trapezium. So once you have a quadrilateral and you can identify only one pair of sides parallel, the conclusion is that the quadrilateral is a trapezium. We move to the next, and that is a rectangle. What is a rectangle? A rectangle is a parallelogram whose angles are all the same. So if the angles are all the same and the internal angles of a quadrilateral sum up to 360 degrees, it will mean that each angle of a rectangle is 90 degrees. 90 degrees. So it is first of all a parallelogram, and it has all angles the same. So all angles are the same, it means each angle is 90 degrees. So this side is parallel to this one, and that's why we have the same kind of arrows. This indicates that they are, this side is parallel to this. This type of arrow indicates that this side is also parallel to this. And if the angles are all the same, the quadrilateral is called a rectangle. We look at a square. What is a square? A square is a rectangle whose sides are all equal. It could also be seen as a rhombus whose angles are all equal. So if a rectangle has its sides the same, then you indicate it with this sign. And if all the sides are the same, it is called a square. So there is a square. We go a kite. What is a kite? A kite is, again, a quadrilateral, a figure with 4 straight sides, and it has 2 pairs of adjacent sides equal. Sides that are adjacent are sides which are next to each other. So we look at the kite here. This is a kite. So this side is next to this. This side is next to this. And they are the same. This side is next to this. And they are also the same. So when you have a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of adjacent sides equal, it forms what we call a kite. So you study it very carefully to see that this side is equal to this, and this side is also equal to this. So when you have 2 pairs of adjacent sides equal in a quadrilateral, you call it a kite. And the next thing is knowing the sum of the internal angles of a quadrilateral. So as we have said before, a quadrilateral is a 4-sided figure. 1, 2, 3, 4. And to get the sum of the internal angles of the quadrilateral is very simple. Just create rectangles in that triangle. You can do that by joining these 2 vertices. If we join these two vertices, then you have triangle 1 and 2. It could have been joining these other vertices. You join these two vertices, you will equally have two triangles. So when you do that, the work now becomes very simple. So if a quadrilateral has two triangles joined together, and the sum of the internal angles of a triangle is 180 degrees, it means the sum of the internal angles of a quadrilateral would simply be 2 times the sum of the internal angles of a triangle, which is 2 times 180 degrees. And the answer will be 360 degrees. That should be wonderful. That should be beautiful, isn't it? That's something you did not know. So you were to divide a rectangle, a quadrilateral into two. You have two rectangles. Okay? So this angle here will be shared by triangle 1 and 2. So this triangle will take this angle, and the second triangle will take the remaining angle here of this quadrilateral. The same thing here. Angle 1 will take, the triangle 1 will take this angle, and triangle 2 will take this angle. So you add the internal angles of the triangles, of the two triangles, you arrive at the sum of the internal angles of a quadrilateral. That's why you have 2 times 180 degrees. And the answer is 360 degrees. So the sum of the internal angles of a triangle, you should never forget, is 360 degrees. So, to put this into practice, what we have done today into practice, you will move to exercise 8.2 of Pressbook Secondary Mathematics, pages 157 and 158. Make sure that you do the exercise as we've been doing correctly. When you have a problem, go back to your textbook, go back and replay the lecture, and your answers will be correct. So we have come to the end of this lesson. Once more, thank you for listening. Have a nice day. See you next time.